Hello and welcome to the Top Bin 90 podcast, episode 40. We are preparing Charlotte FC versus NYCFC. The playoffs are here, and I've got two of the best MLS minds here to talk about Charlotte FC. And I'll intro them. I have Mr. Bam Maurer Media. Brian, how are you today?
I'm doing well, man. It's MLS playoff time. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Let's go. Let's go, dude.
Nice.
I'm hyped. We already got a couple games in. Chicago's tying Philly right now. It's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy right now. They're in penalties, and so we also have Mr. Toño Ramos, who's been everywhere, and so you're becoming more of a celebrity every day, Mr. Toño.
No, I'm happy to be here with you guys. We just did Panthers. We're ready for FC. These are the moments that we've been waiting in this city. Meaningful games Tuesday night. We expect all of you guys there at Bank of America. It's what we're waiting for. Playoff time, and we just gotta break it all, everything here with you guys against New York City is gonna be a good series.
Nice. Yep.
Yeah.
I love it. And so, it's going to be a good show, playoff time. So we're going to do a giveaway tonight as well. We're going to be giving away 2 tickets to Charlotte FC's match this Tuesday. And so stay tuned because I'm going to ask you guys a little trivia question. And the first person to get it right, in the comments section will win these 2 tickets. So make sure you're locked in through the whole show. But I want to start off with some very exciting news. Continental Tire, one of MLS's longest tenured sponsors, has been the official tire of Major League Soccer for 15 years and counting. They are now officially joining the Top Bin 90 family. And in case you didn't already know this, they are headquartered in Fort Mill. We're so proud that they are joining Top Bin 90. As locals to Charlotte, it only made sense that they'd be the presenting sponsor of the next few episodes. They sent us these really cool scarves. I totally love them, And so with that said, let's get started. We've got a phenomenal show today. I want to start off with something that, we had a chance to sit down with Zoran Krneta, the general manager at Charlotte FC. And, he let us know that Pep Biel has triggered, a multi-year contract for Charlotte FC. And so Caleb and I spent like half the show arguing last week, and if we would have only waited if we would have only waited a day, we would have not have to have that whole argument because the question was semi-answered. He'll be here next year. I'll start off with you, Toño. What does having Pep Biel back represent for Charlotte?
Well, for next season, we know that he's been hurt. He's been dealing with some knee issues. Is the playmaking ability? Is the goal contributions? He met those stats, though. He triggered that clause by himself. So even missing so many games, this part of the season, but he was key after that. May month, it was super tough for Charlotte FC. After May, everybody I think, started to playing really, really good, but Pep Biel was instrumental. And just, again, the playmaking ability, the assist, the goal contributions is key for the future for this team. And I think Zoran, hitting on Pep Biel, on Wilfred Zaha, these, key positions in the roster building is great. Of course, for this season, we won't have Pep, but for next year is a part of the future, part of the plan.
Yeah, that's a good point. We criticize often, like at the beginning, a lot of the DPs, weren't hitting. You think back to the Yazviak days, the Enzo Copetti days, right? And so Pep Biel, who was kind of a guy that was kind of a third, fourth string option when we were looking at Calvin Stangs, he ended up being a blessing in disguise. Brian?
Yeah, I think that was just for me. I mean, we had talked about at the end when I finally got my little bit of a say in at the last episode was like I would have signed him right then and there as a DP. And actually, because I had called up maybe Biel's agent and maybe not having the best contract situation for him. Obviously, now that this has come to light, a multi-year extension, he was like, just wait. Maybe that was it. They saw the episode and the agent's like, hey, call this in, Zoran. We're calling it in. And so. But yeah, I mean, as long as it's a DP deal, which I'd imagine, I mean, if the way Zoran was kind of being kind of hesitant about saying either way, I'd imagine off-season negotiations are going to mitigate when that actually gets announced. But my guess is he's got to be on a DP contract.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's definitely worth it as long as he can stay healthy. It sounds like actually they're pretty optimistic about the injury too.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously out for most likely the entire season unless they make a deep run.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
surgery, so
Yeah.
rest,
Yep.
good
So-
treatment. So
Yeah, so it sounds like, minor injury
So
overall.
it sounds like December. If we make it to the MLS Cup final,
could be.
Yeah.
Pep BL comes off the bench, scores a banger.
There you go.
That would be insane. Yeah, that would be like double his contract right now.
Yeah.
Nice, awesome. So that was some really good, exciting news to get things started off with, and so I think my biggest thing was like, is he going to be here next year? And so we've kind of got that big question answer, So there'll be some interesting moves happening off season as well. And so I want to get started as well with talking a little bit about NYCFC and their season. If we take a look, head to head, Charlotte has a favorable run against NYCFC. 5 wins, only 1 draw, and 2 losses to them. And so the last home match that we played for them was a 2-0 win against NYCFC, of course, and goals from Toclomati and Vargas. And that was actually the beginning of that 10-win game streak that we had. 9-win game streak.
That ended in New York.
Yeah,
by
that
the way.
ended in New York. And so I was like 9 or 10, I'm forgetting now. And if you take a look at New York City FC's season, they finished 5th in the Eastern Conference, 17 wins, 5 draws, 12 losses. Their top scorer, Alonso Martinez, right? Hannes Wolf with 11 goals. Goals and assists, Alonso Martinez, Hannes Wolf, Maxi Morales, who, is still kicking and having some decent numbers, And their last 5 games, as you mentioned, our first loss came to them right after that run, a 2-0 loss in New York. They went and got destroyed by Miami 4-0. They beat Red Bulls. They lost to Philly, and they lost to Seattle. So I'm going to start off with you, Brian. What do you make of NYCFC season?
Yeah, and we talked about them a little bit when we had a show a few weeks back when Charlotte played them on the road. But for me, a little bit inconsistent at times. They got hot there right when they ran into Charlotte and ended Charlotte's win streak, but then they cooled off a little bit. They obviously struggle against some of the top teams. That's what those 3 losses were, against Miami, Philly, and Seattle. So I'd say there's still kind of I feel like in the Eastern Conference, there's 2 teams that I really feel confident in, and that's Cincinnati and Miami. I still don't feel super confident in Philly, even though they won the Supporters' Shield. But below that, I feel like it's pretty open as to who ends up actually taking any of those spots. I think for me, New York is just one of those other teams that can get hot, also cools off at times. Alonso Martinez, we've talked about him before. I feel like he's just one of the most underrated strikers in all of MLS. His finishing ability is top notch. I mean, and his numbers show it at 17 goals. And this is kind of almost just a new era kind of year for New York, new coach, right? Trying to bring in a new system, and for him to still produce those kind of numbers in the year 1 of a new coaching system, I'd say is props to him, and Hannes Wolf kind of figuring out. So, I mean, inconsistent at times, but definitely top tier talent that if they get hot at the right time can definitely make things happen. I think another reason for the inconsistency is youth. Outside of Maxi Morales, who's been around forever, but outside of him, a lot of their team is pretty young, and so that's I think where some of the inconsistency comes from.
Nice. Anything you want to add to that, Toño?
Yeah, I think it's a balanced team, and they also had to readapt their shape and game model with a new coach. And Keaton Parks got hurt, so Justin Hack, he was a center back. Now he's a defensive midfielder with Perea. I think they have 2 really good holding midfielders. They defend really well. They have a good goalkeeper in Matt Freese.
Yeah.
So I think their back 4 plus those 2 center midfielders, holding defensive midfielders, they just make it tough. And we just saw Chicago, challenging Philly, and all these lower seed teams in the MLS playoffs. They just have to take it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Take it to the penalties. Just push this game to the limits. Go to 90 minutes. If they don't beat you at their own place, well, just push it to the penalties. I think that's maybe one of the strategies that the New York could do. They've never won at Bank of America Stadium, by the way.
Yep.
New York City has never beaten Charlotte at Bank of America. So, but in the playoffs, it's a different tournament. It's a different format. And all these lower seed teams, I guess you just, again, make it tough in the midfield, tough to transition and try to take this game after 90 minutes to the playoffs, to the penalties.
It also shows just, how tough, the East is. We've been talking about that a lot, we just witnessed, Chicago took Philly right to the end, they beat them.
Yep.
They were only able to beat them in penalties, so like you mentioned. And so I think it's very interesting because we finished fourth this year, and they finished fifth. And the year before, we finished fifth, and they finished right behind us, sixth as well. So it's definitely going to be a tough match, And so speaking of, this match a little bit more in depth, I want to ask you guys a little bit about the burning question, right? How does Dean Smith replace Wilfred Zaha for this match? And so we've already talked about how, stupid the getting a red card was, and so especially because he's an informed player, right? And not having Pep Biel, now not having Wilfred Zaha, right? Brian, if you're Dean Smith, how are you lining up this team without Zaha?
I don't think you make too many major changes. I don't feel like Dean has a ton of confidence in a lot of his bench right now.
Yeah.
Based on the way he's substituting, I don't feel like he has a lot of confidence in his depth. I think it's just a straight up substitute of giving Liel Abada another swing at bat and seeing whether or not he can actually make something of it. I mean, he's a club record signing. This is probably, from the looks of it, outside looking in, got to be one of his last real chances to actually make an impact on this team. And so I think, that would be my one change. Dean doesn't seem to be one to change up an entire system or formation, if he's missing, even if it's a key guy like a Zaha. He just hasn't really been a guy who does that. He kind of keeps his system and just changes guys out. His next man up mentality is something he talks about a lot. So I'd imagine it's going to be Liel Abada, straight swap, and then leaning heavily on the chemistry that Toclomati and Vargas have built. You showed in the New York stats, it was Toclomati and Vargas who scored. I think they're going to be the guys that really need to step up in this game. They're the guys that are in form. They're the guys that have built a lot of chemistry outside of Zaha, right? And so it's about them stepping up, I think, more. And then just trying to make the game simple for Liel Abada to maybe give him a chance to try to build just some momentum for himself.
Nice.
You got to try to build chances for Toclomati. And without Zaha, it's going to be tough. But I think Kerwin is having their best season as Charlotte FC.
Yep.
Since he's
gone another level.
Club. It's the 1v1s, but you also have to just create those scenarios. And I think with Toffolo or Nathan, you're going to pick who's going to play higher, who's going to be just doing this 2v1 situations with Liel Abada or Kerwin. I think Toffolo is a really offensive fullback on the left side. And it's just, without Zaha, you just got to create those scenarios, those chances. But honestly, I know that he's not a playmaker, but having Bronico, and I think Bronico's having a super underrated season.
Yeah,
I
really
think he's
good.
also having his best season as a Charlotte FC player, and just recovering the ball high, that high pressure. He's not a Pep Biel type of number 10. He's never been. You're not asking Bronico to do it, but when he just, the energy when pressuring high and recovering the ball up there, if you try just to press New York City that way with Bronico, I think that's also going to be a key. You got to find ways without Zaha, but again, of course, Kerwin Vargas, he's going to step up big. We're expecting Liel Abada to play at that level too, but again, without Zaha, you just got to take your chances everywhere, and I think Bronico is going to be key in this game, recovering the ball up high.
Would you, Toño, prefer Abada on the left or Vargas on the left?
That's a good question. I really like Kerwin on the left side, cutting inside, so he can just have a shooting option. I don't think Dean is going to move those pieces. But yeah, if Kerwin is working on the right side with Nathan, then just put Liel on the left side. But I would love to see Kerwin, being more effective on the left side, because he has that second option just to cut an inside and shooting maybe.
You?
I would keep Liel Abada on the left mostly, and we'll kind of get into the key matchup segment. I guess we can roll right into it.
Yeah, go for it.
The reason I have Vargas down is because his defensive work rate as well.
Yeah.
And if he stays on the right-hand side, we got Hannes Wolf over there, who's going to be one of their main goal providers. So having a little extra defensive support, I don't trust Liel Abada in that role. And so for me, I think Vargas needs to be on the right-hand side to help defend Hannes Wolf when they're on the back foot, and then also just contribute on the offensive side against O'Toole over there. So for me, that's why I mean, I asked the question, but I felt like Vargas kind of has to stay in that spot just because their attacking front, although, I mean, Nicolas Fernandez, their new guy, also has started to contribute some goals. So, I mean, Leo Labata is going to have some work to do on that side. I'm curious to see how Tuffalo and Leo Labata can combine
and
connect.
overlap. And again, which fullback is going to play higher? Is it going to be Toffolo or Nathan? I think it's going to be Toffolo. And what you said, the defensive work rates that Kerwin has shown this year is what you keep him on the right side.
Yep.
Nice. I mean, I'd also imagine that like there has to be some sort of like burn inside of Leo Labata, you know, and so he has to pull it out, especially this match. Like, this is the opportunity where we'll all be watching him and saying, hey, like, show us why you cost $8 million. Show us why you're a DP in this squad. There's no better chance for you to prove that than this match, you know. And so any other key battles that you see in this match, Toño?
Well, I think we've talked about, who's going to replace Saha and how key Kerwin and to me Bronico is going to be. Westwood, if he has some space to work, and I think Diani is going to help him just providing of that space. I think Diani, sometimes he plays like a box-to-box midfielder and like surprisingly crushing the box sometimes. That's going to be a factor too. But it's a New York City's midfield is not like a ball controlling, like a ball possession midfield. You have two holding midfielders that are just basically destroying everything there.
Warriors.
And of course, if Maxi Morales plays, is he going to play a little bit higher? Is he going to be playing like a number 10 type of midfielder? It's just going to be the battle in the midfield. And to me, Diani operating and giving Westwood some space just to deliver the ball, that could be also a factor. I think Charlotte's got to be very cautious on the counterattacks. They're going to expect you they're going to invite you to attack and push the lines a little bit higher so they can counterattack. Alonso Martinez, I think he's super smart in those runs, behind the center backs. We saw how dangerous he was in the game at New York this season, and behind Malanda, behind, Team Bream, he's super agile, good movement, being in good spaces. I think that's the game plan for New York City. They're just going to wait for you to push and then counterattack.
Which is interesting because for the most of the season, New York is like a possession-based team generally.
Yeah, but
against
also
Charlotte,
the matchup is,
against
is
Charlotte, they gave, in New York, they gave Charlotte the ball like
possession.
60% of the time. And so I think that's going to be an interesting thing to watch is, does New York, like you said, kind of give Charlotte the ball and see if they can break them down? I'd imagine, the game plan worked for them in New York. You'd imagine they would kind of go for the same thing in Charlotte.
Yeah, I'm curious how much, we'll see, right? Ashley Westwood and Brant Bronico also were kind of out for a good portion of last week's training with a back spasm and I think it was like Brant had tightness, either
that's a
quad tightness.
That might
and
be
so
bigger.
And so that's something to take a look at. I think they were back in training last week.
Okay.
They were training separately, but but they did miss a whole week. So that's, I think, something that we shouldn't take lightly, heading into this match.
No, definitely not, because you saw the last time they were suspended against DC, they could barely break down a 9-man DC, which is like one of the worst teams of the Eastern Conference, and they just dragged their feet through that game. So honestly, in a lot of ways, I would say I think you can get away without Zaha. I don't think they could get away without Westwood and Bronico. Just based on what I've seen, you still need Zaha to get that finish, but I think you can find a way to survive. You have other
Especially
finishers.
at home.
Especially at home. There's going to be a fire in you. You can probably get across the finish line and at least get it to PKs, but if you don't have your midfield, Hawk and Perea are warriors in that midfield. And if you don't have Westwood and Bronico, I do think that's a serious problem. That's a huge hole.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's talk about advantages, right? And so where does Charlotte FC have the advantage in this match? And I'll start off with you, Toño.
Well, of course, the home field advantage. Tuesday night is going to be interesting to see, how the crowd reacts. Is going to be close to the, midweek working time. 6:30 is not an ideal, time, but it is what it is. And I think the home field advantage is what we've been asking for. That fourth place, Westwood and Team Bream and Dean Smith promised us that fourth place, and it could make a difference, like what we didn't have last year against Orlando. And you don't want to be playing 2 times at Yankee Stadium, and what we saw, what happened this season when we played. Finishing fourth, I think it was huge. To me, again, is how solid the back four is been looking. Malanda, Timbrim, Nathan, and Toffolo getting his first really reps at left back. So that cohesiveness, that four at the back, that they know each other really well, and of course Kalina. But to me, I think we have more talent in the midfield than New York. Again, we talked about Perea and Justin Hack being like disruptive and defensive-minded midfielders. So I think we have more quality with Diani, with Westwood, and then Bronico just luring people out of the way and high pressure and getting the ball quicker back to our possession. So I think we have an advantage there in the midfield in terms of quality and being progressive with the ball.
Yeah, I think also Charlotte just has a decent amount of experience in key areas. I think Westwood, Bronico, the back line, right? Yeah, Ream, been here before last year. I mean, New York made the playoffs last year as well, but I just feel like this unit has been here and before multiple years now, cohesive with the same coach through this last 2 seasons. Whereas New York City, I think, is still in some ways figuring it out. Like I said, I haven't been super impressed. I've been impressed with their ceiling, but I feel like New York's floor is also kind of dipped at times, and I think that impacts you on the road. Same with Charlotte, right? I think Charlotte's ceiling, we've seen a high ceiling. They can beat some pretty good teams, but at the same time, there's times when their form dips, and usually I feel like that happens on the road.
Yep. And so just to add to that, I think for me, the advantage for Charlotte FC.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you look at this team, that back four, I'm really impressed with. Our fullbacks, you've got Kalina in goal. You've got midfielders that can run for days. Hopefully they're good to go for this match. Right. You've got a young Toklomati, who's had a phenomenal season, Kerwin Vargas in form. And so this is a great opportunity to show that the collective is there when you're missing Zaha and Pep Biel. And then that other X factor is the bank. I fear for any team that comes into Charlotte when the bank is rocking, because that gets everybody up. It gets our players up. It gets that stadium rocking. And I fear for any opponent, right, when we are at our best at the bank. And hopefully we see that Tuesday night as well.
Second best home team in the MLS. So that shows that type of advantage. So, but, the bench sometimes, I think you should have a little bit more of depth.
Yeah.
And now that Saha and Pep they're gone. I mean, Pep is not gonna come back. So, I wish that Williamson should have performed better during the year, so you can rely on him more. I think he sometimes plays out of position. I mean, it's what Dean asked him just to play, but yeah, the bench sometimes, you have a young guy like Archie Goodwin that's gonna be your striker option off the bench. So that part of the depth is gonna be challenged. But also remember last year during decision day and the days before the first round of the playoffs, we were playing Wednesday, Saturday, and then the fitness level was probably not there when we faced Orlando. I think this might be a little bit different because the games have not been like super consecutive, like playing Wednesday, Saturday, and Wednesday. It was like, I think, a different fitness level last year. I think they're better, but these two training situations with Ashley and Bronico, they're good to go. It's just a matter of pain tolerance sometimes, and you gotta play during the playoffs with maybe tolerating some pain.
Yeah, I think it was Zoran that mentioned this when we spoke to him, where like every player in the world has something going on. And so saying that, like, they are getting some, as long as they're good to go to play, I'm confident.
And these are super durable guys for us.
Yes.
And they played so many minutes during the season.
Tim Howard and Landon Donovan call it like when the U.S. men's national team players say they're hurt during like the friendlies, but like they're healthy for the World Cup. They're like they're actually healthy enough to play for the World Cup. It's just because it's a friendly call up, things like that. So that's exactly what the situation is.
Nice. Awesome. Let's talk about, having to play on a Tuesday night, and so we've touched on it a little bit, but
Not even Leagues Cup we're playing on Tuesday. So I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, we got the bank going up on a Tuesday, so
Oh wow, look at that guy. Yeah.
how much of a factor is it, Toño, to have to play on a Tuesday night, you know? And so it's post Monday, you know, you still kind of got that feeling, you know, the traffic in Uptown.
Yeah, it's gonna be, you know, how quick you make it from your work to your, you know, the tailgate and Bank of America is a 6:45 kickoff. So
Yeah.
I still expect a big attendance and people responding like they've always done. You know, the fans are, you know, one of our strengths during this season and the past 3 seasons too. So there's a reason why we're second best home team in MLS. Not also our performance, but also having our fans supporting. But yeah, it's gonna be, you know, different timing. Your routine might not be that different for a player if your mindset is on, okay, we didn't play on Saturday, we're gonna play on Tuesday. That's gonna how playoffs are gonna roll. But is your, you know, the meal time, the hydration time, your sleeping time is gonna be not that different. You're not like playing on a, you know, Pacific time zone or just different, you know, Western zones. But it moves you a little bit of your routine of how you're used to, but you know, shouldn't be an excuse. But yeah, I hope our fans can make it through the Charlotte traffic on a Tuesday at 6 p.m. so they can, you know, be there for kickoff.
Yeah, should there be an extra lane on the highway that said, if you're going to the stadium, come this way?
the Charlotte FC shoulder, right there. Shoulder for the crown.
Quick pass.
Brian, playing on a Tuesday?
I mean, you have to deal with what you got to deal with. I mean, that's the issue of having the NFL team that also shares the stadium with you, right? They didn't really have any other options. It was Friday or Tuesday, and it looked clearly like they were trying to do a Miami prime time for Fridays, like what the key seemed to be. And so you're stuck with, you know, your lot, which is a Tuesday game. I think also from early in the year when Charlotte played Miami and they didn't opt to fill the upper bowl and doing just the 35K in the lower bowl, I think that was a valuable lesson to be like, hey, we should just be doing that, because the noise, and I mean, obviously part of it was, but I think just something about really making sure everybody's packed in only to the lower bowl, and just adding a little bit of extra energy, kind of condensed together.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
So I think as long as you get 35K in there and you keep it packed and low, I think that you're going to have the energy, and that's all you need to do. It's if you are like, well, let's try to 50 and then spread everybody out. I think, honestly, we've seen lulls in certain games like that where it should have been a really hyped up affair. You're overselling the tickets, but you're not. You're kind of spreading people out a little bit too much. I'd rather keep it packed like that. Maybe even throughout the whole playoffs if you can. Just really enforce that the energy stays high.
Yeah.
And, you know, talking about, you know, the team and the players, it's got to be like a really, really, you know, of course, it's huge having your first playoff game at home, but the focus, the level of concentration, you don't want another Chicago game. You don't want another Montreal game. I remember last year the Minnesota game, it was on a Sunday, like 4 p.m. on a Sunday. You don't want that.
It fell off. Everything about that day fell off.
Fast. You got to start fast. You got to start focused. Don't make it an excuse, but I remember that Minnesota game on a Sunday, 4 p.m. Again, is the rhythm, is your routine, how much are you going to change it? Maybe don't change it at all, because it could affect you you got to start fast. These games, you got to start fast.
Yeah, I was going to lean into that a little bit more, you know, because if you look back to last year, you know, and you're coming into game 2 already having a loss. So it's kind of do or die.
Yeah.
You know, and so how much different is that mindset, you know, starting off at home versus having to start off at home, and if you don't win or you don't get through this, you're out.
Yes,
Brian?
I don't think it's the same pressure, right?
Yeah, well, I think it's. I mean, I don't think it's the same pressure as a single elimination game. I think it's. Yeah. I mean, I think it's still. I mean, I think there's a lot more pressure in this home game for Charlotte to win, because I think you go to game 2.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Going into New York, down, now it's do or die in New York. I think there's more pressure on Charlotte in this game.
Or responsibility, maybe not pressure.
Yeah, exactly. Responsibility. Whereas New York, you go into a 3-game series as the road team. You're like, we have to pick off one at home or one on the road. So we got to pick off one on the road. We got to pick off one in Charlotte. It can be 1 or 3.
Yeah.
So if New York loses, it's like, okay, well, then now we have to pick up in game 3, but it's like you have 2 options as long as you win your home game. Because that's the whole idea of a series is you look at your home games as the wins, and then you figure out where you get the road win if you're the underdog. Charlotte, they have to if you don't clean up now because you lose your whole advantage in game 1 if they don't come away with the win.
Yeah, and so it's just from a pressure standpoint, it's slightly different. It feels like this time,
bit.
you know.
But again, to me, the lower seed teams, and Chicago showed it today against Philly, they're just going to push it to the limit, go to 90 minutes tied, and go to penalty kicks. That's probably some of the strategies to this. I mean, Atlanta, they did it last year against Inter Miami. It was a different type of series.
Yeah.
So many goals in that series. But I think, if you see how the New York Red Bulls MLS Cup last year was like a similar. They were in the highest seed in the Eastern Conference, but they make it tough on the road. They won games in penalty kicks.
Yep.
That could be a path with this, at least the first round with the best of 3 series. That could be the case for these lower seed teams playing on the road.
Yeah, I think that's maybe one strategy that Charlotte maybe didn't take enough last year in that first game in Orlando when they just didn't get on the front foot at all.
Yeah.
And I think this is a situation where, like you said earlier, like Charlotte need to come out quick and come out fast and kind of know that, hey, this is our home, this is our ground, and we're standing tall here. And so figuring out a way to do that when New York likely could be bringing some pressure just because they can go all in and feel like, again, like this is an opportunity to just go for it. And so Charlotte needs to counter that.
What you said, if you're the highest seed and you have home field advantage, it's not just a prize of finishing high and having 2 home games, but it's also the pressure of delivering and being that top seed, and you just got to go through.
Yep, 100%.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, some very interesting to say the least. And so, I mean, at least we know, I'm not saying that we're going to lose, but it's not over, after game 1. And so let's talk about some players a little. This is from Brian, a now or never. And so I want to start off with you. Which player needs a big performance? I mean, I think we all have kind of an obvious answer for that.
Yeah, it's Leo Labada, right? I mean, this is a situation where he likely gets the start. And I was looking this up. His last MLS goal contribution was May 31st. That's a long time ago. That's before Leagues Cup. So, I mean, he's got to find a way to deliver in this matchup. We kind of had a now or never moment when we were talking about Williamson coming in during the DC game.
Yeah.
And I feel like that really, the results of that game did not look great. And for him to have that kind of performance when you have all the chips stacked in your favor in that situation, playing a weak team like DC and having an opportunity to step up and rise to the occasion was a big moment that I feel like Williamson really fell through on. So Abada needs to find a way. You have momentum. You have home field. You have a team that's never beaten you in Charlotte before. You have all these things kind of going your way in an opportunity to really, step up and find that big moment. And if he does, I mean, that's huge for, him personally and him for the team. So I think he's just really got to find a way because, if he doesn't, I mean, no goal contributions since May 31st is, for a club record signing, is pretty bad.
Very tough.
Yeah, there's no other name that I can find but Babada.
Yeah.
And, but he now has a supporting cast around him that he doesn't have to be the hero. But of course, we're expecting him to play at the type of salary that he has and the fee that we paid for him, and he's being a DP. So, of course, deliver it when the opportunity comes with no Saha, no Pep Biel, no playmakers. Yeah, I'm relying more on Kerwin. Again, I think this has been Kerwin's best season with us so far. But
100%.
Of course, we're still waiting for Abada to perform in big scenarios now without Wilfred. But yeah, it's gotta be him, and hopefully he contributes when matters the most.
Yeah.
Okay. How much, say Abada has a phenomenal game, scores 2 goals, we win this match, we end up going through, and we remember that. How much does that truly move the needle, though, looking at next year?
It's tough. I mean,
has now or never, but are we more on the never side already?
It's just never or never and just have a good game. Well, I mean, as a player, you're still always playing for a job, right? You're always. I mean, that's why even I feel like some of those, like against Montreal, found a reason to fight against Charlotte, even though their season was wrapped up, right? Because those players are still professionals and still had to find a way to I mean, they're still, some of those guys are working for new deals, working for new contracts, working for the big move. I mean, I think Dante Seeley's like looking for a new, a move overseas, right? I mean, so they
those
still
two free kick goals. Come on, yeah,
right. So I mean, I think there's still ways to find a reason to play. So even if Abada sees like his chapter in Charlotte ending, having a big performance could still dictate what his next move is, right? I mean, because at the end of the day, it's what have you done for me lately? And so whether that's staying in Charlotte or finding your next spot, I mean, it can be the difference in terms of actually getting the spot more or less you want, giving you some negotiating powers. You know, I mean, because if you go into the offseason not having scored in your league since May 31st as a club record signing, I mean, you have no negotiating powers.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think you got to give yourself something like, hey, in a big moment when they needed me, I was called upon and I answered.
Yep, and Jason adds to that. You raise his sell value and options to play next year, and so, because there's really it's gonna be fine.
If you bring Pep back on a DP deal, and if Saha is back on a DP deal too, that limits your possibilities in the transfer market window. If Abada is gonna still have the third DP, so.
Yeah. Look, I think they would lose money on him. I mean, we saw even when Ajiman and Karol Swiderski were competing, I mean, they couldn't get any money back really for him. So, I mean, it's going to be a similar situation, I think, in the offseason regardless.
Nice.
And also, I don't want this to be last Malanda home game.
Yeah.
Because we're going to miss him so bad. So,
man,
knocking on
that's a good
wood.
point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're
wait to bring the
you're
mood
you're
down.
gonna start. You're gonna start planning for the future at this point.
He
of
said
the
there was
year
no
as well.
pressure. He keeps finding ways to add a little bit of pressure to this.
Hey,
whole
we're
game,
the
you know?
fourth place. Fourth place in the Eastern Conference. You gotta deliver as the fourth place. Yeah.
Nice. All right, pretty soon we're gonna do our giveaway, and so guys, get locked in, and so we'll have a question that'll pop up here shortly that I'll ask, and so I also wanted to bring this up. I mean, Toklomati had a phenomenal game against Miami a couple of weeks ago, but he hasn't been scoring recently, and so we're going to need him to step up a little bit this match. Obviously, that dummy he had,
That's
for
fantastic.
Zaha's first goal was phenomenal, but I think that's somebody that's going to feel a little bit more pressure because the expectations have raised a little bit for him in this team.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a good shout as well. I mean, obviously, it's still, a recent non-scoring stretch, like 4 games so far. But, I mean, the expectation of a starting striker is that you score almost every game. I mean, that's how it goes, right? Ajiman felt that pressure at times. That's the nature of the position. You're always expected to be scoring because you're the goal scorer on the team. And so I think the upside right now is, you see that there's little when you see a player still capable of doing kind of the little things, and the rest of the team is still buying into what you're doing and how you're helping the team. I think the vibes are still high. I think it's more like similar to that situation with Karol Swiderski in when he had that like ricochet goal to kind of change, because you could tell the pressure at that point had really gotten to him. I mean, nothing was going in. It had been 6 or 7 games, and I think once that happens, I don't think I've seen that from Toklomati. It still seems like he's playing within himself, and so right now things are okay. If it gets to 6, 7 games, gets through this series, and they're into the
6,
semifinal,
7?
right?
Sorry,
huh?
I said 6, 7.
Yeah. Or like you get to the conference semifinal, and like they're like Charlotte is scraping by, and like Toklomati seems to be like maybe that like cutting edge that's just not quite there. Maybe at that point it's like, hey, it's been a little while, and then he gets in his own head, and then that's when the pressure really starts to mount. So I haven't seen that quite yet from him.
And sometimes, number 9 needs providers.
Yeah.
They need, playmakers around him. I think Toklomati can create his own chances so many times, but it's the first time in club history that in the same season we have 3 different players with 10 goals.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Saha, it was Pep Biel, and it's Toklomati. But, of course, when you're missing Pep and you're missing Saha now, where the spaces are going to come from, who's going to be that provider, who's going to help you, taking off sometimes that, center backs off of you. Of course, he makes some really good runs, and you're going to have Kerwin as your best partner on Tuesday night. But I think Toklomati is capable of, creating his own chances. I remember the first goal that he scored. He didn't score it, but it was basically his goal against Seattle.
Yeah.
When we tied
Yeah.
in Seattle, that
You won that ball back,
mentality.
yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Teach that. You just gotta have it. Maybe Pat was not that type of number 9, but it's just constantly pressuring the center backs and being all over them. I think that's a underrated quality that Toklomati has, that he just makes the center backs sometimes have mistakes and you just take advantage of it, which I think is key for a striker too.
Yeah, I think the main thing is, I think we talked about like the importance of Leo Labata coming into this game and him having a big performance, but how he plays off of Toklomati is going to be huge, because I think Toklomati, like you said, was able to depend a lot on Zaha being a provider, opening up space, being able to make things happen for him. How does Toklomati do that, either with Leo Labata, or can he do it for himself?
Yeah.
Just create his own chances.
I would say the plus side of that is, Abada and Toklomati hang out a lot. You
Yeah,
know,
that's good.
they have really good chemistry because they
That's a
know
good
each
point.
other really well.
Yep.
And so that's something that they're probably talking about as we
Yeah.
speak, right? They're like, hey, like,
This is our moment.
yeah. And so if I'm Toklomati, I'm also wanting Abada to have a really good game because I want him to be here next year.
Yeah.
And so, like, that chemistry that they've built, just because, they're both Israeli, they both, come from different football. I think that's a plus
Yeah.
in terms of having Liel Abada start for this match.
And again, to me, I think Toffolo is going to be key in this game, playing higher.
Yeah.
You got to pick which fullback is going to be playing closer to the wingers. I think Nate is really good on the build-up and defending, and Toffolo, we saw the assist that when he crossed the ball to Kerwin Vargas on Kerwin's last goal. And if you create and you help Abada just clearing the path a little bit, making him cut inside if he's going to overlap on that left side, maybe Abada can find more spaces. But again, is Dean Smith also giving these players tools when Saha is not on the field, that you got to still be, productive, progressive. But again, I think Toffolo's presence going a little bit higher could be a factor in creating those 2v1 situations.
And then again, maybe finding another way to just help keep the game a little bit simpler for Leo Labata. Like if Toffolo is making an overlapping run,
Open
and
more space.
dragging a defender, it just opens more space for Leo Labata to kind of make things happen, and just again narrows the game down. Like, oh, there's a space that opens up when Toffolo makes the run and they mark him, and he just immediately has space to run into. And if you can just kind of make that consistent for him, it helps him, almost just like reinvigorate and kind of get the momentum back.
Awesome. All right. One other topic that thinking about, throughout this week, and it got back to me when, Ashley Westwood said at the end of last season, like, we have to finish top 4. Because we understand the value of that, and so they understand the value of that because they played a third game in Orlando, So to me, this squad now has experience in a playoff, right? Yeah. And so the core of this squad understands what these games are about. Dean Smith also understands now what these games are about. How much of an advantage is that also, having these guys, like the core group of players, already been in a scenario like this and knowing that they were out, by a small margin, because you saw the penalty shootout in Charlotte and you saw a penalty shootout in Orlando and how those went as well.
We were seconds away of avoiding that penalty shootout,
And speaking of that, I don't think we've talked enough about Gianni on this show. I think not so much as like a now or never in terms of him not being here next year, but think of how impactful this series is going to be for him after that moment. They talked about how emotional he was after that game, after giving up that
great
PK.
point.
So I think he's going to go into this game really, really hungry to show that he can have a good performance in a big moment in the playoffs right now, right here. I think Malanda as well. I mean, obviously we talked about it. He doesn't want this to be his last home game either, I'd imagine. And so him, and I also don't feel like he had the strongest performance against Orlando last season. I feel like there were multiple times where he kind of got dragged around a little bit. And so I'd imagine for him, those two, like younger players, because, I mean, Gianni's like 26, 27, Milana in his early 20s. Younger players who are kind of getting these moments for the first time, now getting that second chance, that second crack at it, having the learned experiences and how to
of what
build
happened
off
in
of
Orlando.
that,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And kind of learning from it. So I think advantage for these guys to have an opportunity to, because I for Diani for sure it's locked in his head right now, like what happened last year and how does he approach his mentality in this week of training. It would be an interesting question for Dean of like, how did Diani approach training right now? I'd imagine he was pretty locked in.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta wake up tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. to go ask Dean that question.
Yeah,
That's a great question. Yeah.
At least
also, speaking about Dean is, to me, how high he's setting the bar each and every year. And this is his second season, but you can see his message being delivered by Tim Ream, by Ashley Westwood. It was right after that May, tough month. They were still thinking about that fourth place.
Yeah, that's a
so
good point.
it's how convinced the guys are in that locker room that they can, make it and have this, situation when you're the fourth place and you have the home field advantage, at least for the first round of the playoffs. So is the message is, he has set the bar high every single year and the players are delivering. So I just can't wait for Tuesday night, to be honest, against New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. And so I really like the Diani point. I didn't even think about that, but yeah. And so, okay, moving forward. All right. So everybody that's watching right now, we're going to put up a question. The first comment to get this right wins 2 tickets to this week's Tuesday's match. And so here it is. Which 2 players scored in Charlotte FC's home opener this season in their win against Atlanta United? If you have that answer, put it into the comment section right now, and you will win 2 tickets to Charlotte FC's match this week. And so do you guys have it? Obviously, you can't say it, but we'll wait for somebody to comment that.
I have my other account here logging in.
Let's see. Zaha and Pep Biel. Who was the first one to come in? Javier Nathaniel. Congratulations. You are the winner of 2 tickets. And so your message came in. And so, I did. Oops. Oh, my bad. Dang.
Hey,
I messed that
producer.
up. Yeah.
Listen to the producer.
Zaha and Biel. For some reason, I read that wrong. So it's Danny. Sorry, Javier. Danny 34, congratulations. You won 2 tickets to Tuesday's match. If you can, all right, give him a little round of applause. And so, if you could DM us your name and your email to the Top Bin Instagram account, that'd be great. And we'll make sure that you get those tickets. And so congratulations again on winning 2 tickets. And so we actually did a poll this weekend, the Top Bin 90 poll, and we'll touch on that a little bit. We had well over 100 people participate in that poll. And so some of the things that you guys asked for in those polls. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for actually, taking the time to fill out these polls, and so because we're asking you to do something, and so it's really cool when we see like participation from the crowd. And so I really like that. And so the top 3 things that we saw, people want more player interviews, sometimes that's not always up to us. We just request the players and sometimes we get them, sometimes we don't, and so, but when we get the interviews, we try to prepare, we try to bring people like really, really good content. We did the Dean interview, the second one again this year. So thank you, Charlotte, for letting me do that again. People want more interactive things with the fans. And so we're going to try to do more stuff like that, like the giveaway we did tonight, different polls, maybe like a Q&A segment. We were thinking about adding maybe at the end of the show or before the show. You guys can send in some questions. And then watch parties. And so we'll look at doing some more watch parties next year. The last one we did was phenomenal. We had a phenomenal turnout as well. So that said, thank you guys. We really appreciate, everybody that voted. And we will be releasing those player of the seasons, defender of the seasons, all of that here shortly. And so I'm actually quite surprised at who actually won. So we won't reveal it on the show, but I had a couple different names in mind. And so Brian in the face like, yeah, me too.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised. But hey.
Well, I was also surprised by the MLS end of season awards and no Charlotte FC player in any category.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's kind of interesting.
I mean, maybe Tokomati for the young player.
Yeah.
What other position really surprised you?
Malanda for
Defender of the
Defender
year?
of the Year.
Oh, really?
Maybe-
But if Toklomati finished third in the under
Yep,
22
I was just about to say
MLS
that.
list and he's
Yeah.
not in the top 3 category, I don't know.
That's why I pointed it out that
Yeah.
was maybe the
Yeah.
one. I mean, I felt like Obed Vargas was going to run away with the award itself.
Obed is so good, and
He's
he
amazing.
played with Mexico under 20
And
at
how
the World
important
Cup.
is he to Seattle right
Yeah.
now? I just think centerpiece wise, he's just, I mean, one of the most important players for that team.
It's
right now.
Freeman, Diego Luna, and
Yeah, Diego Luna is probably the replacement
Yeah.
there, where Tokomati
Tokomati.
probably should have
Right.
gotten in over Diego, but
Yeah, because you could kind of make a case for Kalina, but like there was that period in May. Like the
You got
problem is,
benched.
yeah. My thing is like through the whole, you have to look at the entirety of the season.
Yeah.
And that May really messed a lot of these players up because
Yeah.
if we would have had a decent May, I would imagine that Kalina and Pep Biel would have been
Right.
at the All-Star game because that
But at
that
the
was
end-
like the voting time, and Charlotte was having a terrible.
I'm not saying that Kalina should have won back-to-back goalkeeper, of the year, but he still finished
finalist.
second in clean
Yeah.
sheets and
Yeah.
first in saves, which is, the metrics are there, but maybe Toklomati should have been in that
Yeah. I
poll,
think
in that
I think
ballot of
Tokomati
young player.
I think Tokomati is the good. For me, if you get benched, I don't think you can be in the running for a position of that year. I just don't think you can do that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just,
Mhm.
if
Well, you
look
heard
at
it
the
here
whole
first.
span of the season,
Brian hates Kalina.
I'm not saying that. I think Kalina, I think Kalina came on.
He wants calendar.
Yeah, dang.
I'm-
Hey, who made the call for calendar? This guy right here. Oh man, that's hilarious. Okay, and then finally, I want to touch on my favorite part of the show, some score predictions. And so I'll start off with you, Mr. Toño. How are you seeing this game?
I'll go Charlotte winning 2-1. I
Charlotte-
think New York is going to score a goal. Again, they're a tough opposition. I think set pieces could be a key factor in playoffs. You just got to find all these details to win games. And again, I think the lower seeds are going to try to just push it to penalty kicks. So I'm taking Charlotte winning 2-1.
Nice. Who's scoring these goals for you? I know it's not going to be Zaha or Biel.
No, or the Yajere, right? I'll say Toklomati and Bronico.
Veronica. all right.
I think Bronico's having a super underrated season again, and
Are
yeah.
you just saying that because you want to see that Cam Newton celebration after today's bad Panthers
you
game?
just gotta show the love to Bronico, and it's not just this guy that's grinding and running and pressuring. I think he's getting better. He's been asked to play in different positions, and he's always reliable. So let's give him a go.
Yeah, I think like looking back, like in the future when we look back, we'll be like, man, Bronico was so important to
You
the
always
first
need that type of player.
Yeah, so important to those first years of building Charlotte FC. I think he's stapled himself.
Coaches and players come and go, and you can't bench Bronico.
Yeah, exactly. 3 different coaches, and so
Yeah.
I love that. I appreciate everything also Brent does off the field, And so it's great to see him doing well on the field as well. And so Brian?
2-2, Charlotte winning PKs.
Really?
Drama.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really? You think
Squeaky
so?
bum time game.
Yep.
Yeah,
You think so?
Yeah, I think.
I
so.
like that.
Yeah.
If I know that going in, I'm hyped. But if it's 2-2 and we're sitting there watching
Yeah.
penalties
Yeah,
and we don't
it's
make
not
it,
without Zaha, I think it's tough. I think that's
Yeah.
definitely not the most ideal.
last
situation,
minute
but I think-
Diani penalty again.
I think it's very I think no,
He's gonna chip it.
No, not for Diani. I think Diani's gonna have a. I think Diani's gonna have a world.
Gianni's taking the
game. You know,
5th penalty. He's gonna chip
I'm
it.
even gonna call Diani. He's gonna get a goal. I'm gonna throw Diani getting a goal somehow. Yeah,
Wow.
somehow, some way.
Dude,
Big
that
revenge
would
game for
that would
Diani.
be redemption
I
for
think
him
so. I think
at
like,
the
for
final.
the storyline, a 2-2. Yeah, we're not
Right.
picking. I think that would be sick.
Would you have him take the 5th penalty too?
Well, he's taking a. He was. Remember when Vargas and Copetti both were. Diani was the first one to drill a penalty at that time. wasn't he?
Okay.
He was the first one to come back, so he can take a penalty.
Yes,
I mean, Pep Biel and Swiderski missed last year, so.
they did. But Swiderski also scored.
But yeah, so Diani's gonna score, but he's gonna drill his penalty. We've got this whole. Anyway.
Oh man, so 2-2. I like that. That's some drama, And so, I think it's gonna be a good old-fashioned Dean Smith 1-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
That
going
was
for
my
it.
other option.
I know
Yeah,
he was-
it's going to be that. It's going to be a kind of a chippy game, a little bit tight. We're either going to see some magic from Vargas or a little magic from Toclomanti. 1-0, close up shop. And you know what? I don't mind it. I don't care. Just win Tuesday. Because I really think if you win, I think I'm betting that this team goes through.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of what happens in New York, you got a third game on a Friday at the bank too, you know, with Zaha back, you know. And there's such a big boost, you know, going into that game, you know, Tuesday night or Saturday. If, you know, Charlotte wins, not only did you get the win, the pressure's now on New York, and you got Zaha coming back, you know. And so, but they still play at a baseball stadium, so that's what truly sucks.
Are we practicing at Choice Field, maybe?
Yeah, I think someone made that
days.
joke. That was really funny. With that said, Toño, where can people find you at?
Well, first of all, you can listen to the Spanish radio of your Charlotte FC every single game. Just tune in 30 minutes before the kickoff. So we're waiting for you guys to be joining us for, you know, playoff time. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Ramos019, so we can keep talking about the MLS playoffs. And again, we hope, you know, you can follow us next game and join the Spanish radio network and practice your Spanish a little bit.
Exactly. Listen, you want to start learning some Spanish, and so
Don't listen to Jaime, because I don't even know what he's saying sometimes. I love Jaime.
Yeah.
He's just
And-
it's how energetic he is always.
And I got to give you a shout out on the Café con Canales are phenomenal.
That
So
was
I
fun.
love
was
seeing
fun.
like stuff like that, and especially someone like you that's so knowledgeable in the game. You know, both in soccer. You know, and so that's pretty tough. You know, like
I appreciate
having that kind of knowledge deep in two different sports. You know, I barely know soccer. You know, so.
Thank you. But yeah, go watch Café con Canales. That's the piece we did with the Panthers head coach. He's a great person, and we're just showcasing his Hispanic background, and we did this cool series with 3 Latino-owned coffee shops around Charlotte. So go watch on the Panthers YouTube. That was fun to do.
Nice. Brian, where can people find you at?
Yeah, you can find me on X at Bam Mauer Media. You can find all my written content, top90.com, collegesoccernews.com. We got so much content about to come out over the next week and a half. You can find me everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, stay tuned. We've got a lot we're pushing out here this next week because it's playoff time, you know. Listen, the season is over. Playoffs are here, you know. These games are going to be different. I want to see everybody at the bank this Tuesday night, you know, because I want to see this team make a very deep run.
Yeah.
You know, and so that would make me happy. Going through this first round would make me happy, but seeing Charlotte make a deep run would be phenomenal. Imagine we play the MLS Cup final, bro. Like, I don't know. I'm going to dye my hair or something if that
Me
happens.
too.
Oh, that's on. That's live. That's live, Cisco. We're live right now.
All right. What color do you guys think would be good?
beard.
We gotta be the beard.
Oh.
I mean,
Yeah.
only we have left.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, it would have to be solar blue, right? I mean,
Solar blue. Okay. I was thinking platinum blonde, like
Copetti and
yeah, like
Daniel
Enzo.
Oh, well, it was based on the Charlotte FC deep run, so I was thinking. Charlotte
Okay. I'm gonna let
FC
Brian
solar blue,
decide. How
huh?
about that? Nice. With that said, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Congratulations again, Danny34, on winning some tickets. We are over and out. We'll be back Wednesday night at 7:30 to recap what we hope is a win. So see you guys Wednesday night.